Welcome back to the Film Alchemist podcast, a show where we take the movies we love, break them apart to find out what gives them their magic. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, joined as always by a rapist, a murderer, a criminal buried at the end of the world.
I'm not okay with any of the things you just used to describe me, but Alex Dandini.
The only innocent man in prison, Alex Dandini.
Some Andy Dufresne, you say?
Yeah. Oh, old Andy Dufresne over here. You going to do my taxes next? No, neither here nor there. Before Alex pleads his appeal again to me, Judge Griff. A little business, people. It's official. We're on patreon.com/Film Alchemist Pod. The best way to support the show, the best way to help us grow this show, and more importantly, the best way to make this show kick more ass for you specifically. Yes, you. I'm tickling your ear right now. You. Guys, you can get access to our big Patreon library. Big bear. Big Patreon library full of great episodes that our patrons specifically vote on and or request us to cover, right? So you get some authorship over what kind of movies we're talking about over on patreon.com/Film Alchemist Pod. We do fun stuff like feature-length commentaries. We got our Tales from the Crypt miniseries running right now. More miniseries to come. You can even have us program a double feature just for you. So, guys, it really means a lot to us that people are supporting the show. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts to those of you who support the show. Those of you who are thinking about it, we appreciate you even thinking about it. And when you join us, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our little hearts.
We love you.
The YouTube, Film Alchemist, if you want to watch us, talk. The email, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. We're on all the socials that everyone else is on. Twitter made it. It looks like Twitter made it. I had an influx I had a bunch of friends that are like, that's it, Twitter's dead to me forever.
Yep.
Tweeting up a storm now. So I guess we're all back. We're all back on Twitter until it blows up.
No more Hive.
Yeah. Hive, it melted. The queen is dead. Hive's over. And guys, something free and easy you can do to help the show. Very apt for this episode.
Indeed.
Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on every podcast app that you have, right? Just give us a little shout out, right? 5 stars, why you like us. Helps us defeat the algorithmic jailers that are trying to keep our truths from the masses, right? We're just asking questions. Also, if you have a movie-loving friend, directly message them, text them, send them a DM, slide into their DMs with one of our episodes. They're like, holy shit, that's the most sensual-ass DM I've ever gotten. Invite them to enjoy the show as much as you do. Or don't, but make them listen either way. That's what we're asking. All right. Now that that's over. Alien Cubed. Right?
Yes.
This is our third installment. David Fincher. Walter Hill was one of the writers of this show.
Directorial debut, bro.
David Fincher.
First feature film.
That's incredible in its own right. First feature film for who is
like,
now one of our great modern directors.
Because this is 92. At this point, Fincher is like the music video guy. It's like him and 2 other people
doing some of that nin and
are like hardcore music video guys.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Walter Hill helped write the script. You definitely get the Walter Hill in this. Kind of a mean group of tough guys kind of script.
Mm-hmm.
This movie rests in an interesting limbo for me, right? Because I know everyone hates Alien Resurrection. But Alien Resurrection was really on point with what it wanted to be, which was kind of this fun, goofy comic book ride through an alien movie, right?
Right, yeah. Okay.
How well that achieved it, whatever. You can make your own choices, right? The first 2 are essentially masterpieces, both of tone and story. They knew exactly what they wanted to be. What I think Alien Cubed struggles with, I don't think it had any fucking idea who it was making this movie for. Because it makes at least one of the worst questionable decisions in the franchises, right? There is so much fucking nihilism in this movie, which I'm a fan of, but this is like even to the extreme for how I usually watch movies, especially a popcorn flick like Alien Cubed at this point. I guess they wanted to go anti-Cameron, right? So I get it on that note. They have this problem where they have this great cast, but essentially no good characters outside of Dylan. They decided to make this 2 fucking hours long. So there's this weird limbo of, man, there's a lot of stuff I like in this movie that kind of is being dragged down by questionable vision, I guess I would say. Maybe Baby Fincher just didn't all the way have what he needed to muscle the extra chefs out of the kitchen. I don't know where this happened. And also, let's just get this out of the way so we don't have to like diverge in the middle of the pod. Seeing the CG alien in this,
it's pretty rough,
is a fucking sacrilege of the highest order.
It's
We are
not
coming
great.
off two of the greatest creature effect movies of all time. When we first start to see the xenomorph in this one, the suit looks great. Whatever else they were doing in this fucking movie, there is a scene where a guy holds a blowtorch up to the ceiling, and there is a clip art xenomorph, and it hurts my soul. Every single time I watch this movie, I feel psychically scarred by how fucking shitty that CG alien is. Not just because it's shitty CG, but because it's a shitty xenomorph.
Yeah.
Which was the pinnacle of creature work in my mind. It is
Agreed.
brutality. So take that out of the conversation.
Right.
Still a lot to love in this fucking motley crew of a film. So Alex, opening thoughts on Alien Cubed.
Alien Cubed is one of those great like Hollywood stories. It's one of those awesome.
Is Cube 3 or 4? Am I a dumbass? I think Cubed is 3.
Cubed is 3. Did I say 4?
No, I did. I said 3. I was making sure I wasn't a total idiot, which I am.
Yeah. So Alien 3 is one of those really fun, like holy shit, how did this movie get made? There's way too many cooks in the kitchen stories that happens in Hollywood. There's 5 versions of this script before they went into production. They went into production without a completed script. Fincher literally was just making shit up on the day.
Yeah.
And it feels like it. There's like
it feels like it.
I think Fincher was brought in to replace I forget who the director was, but Fincher was brought in to replace someone and kind of like was rewriting. He hired Rex Pickett to help rewrite Walter Hill and David Giler's script. So like the whole time they're like trying to figure out what this movie is while making the movie. And you know what's weird? So Richard Edlund is the guy who does the visual effects, who's the guy who's won Oscars for Star Wars. You get the sense that he was like, they're like, can you just finish it in like, I don't know.
He's just trying to
minutes.
keep his union insurance.
Yeah, like there's like there's a lot of work done in this movie that does feel like somebody needed to just keep their insurance. So
I just gotta work.
But like regardless, the story.
But when you're on a ship with no script and everything,
Yeah.
like if you worked on a set when there's chaos, I'm no longer pulling towards the mountaintop is infectious and across the board immediately.
So I think from the top down, Alien Cubed is a really rough sell because for one, I think to me, like nihilism is a great way to put it. Like nothing, and I mean nothing, feels victorious in this movie. Like I'll tell you right now, every time I get to the end of this movie, I'm just like, like just let the alien queen take control of this place. This place needs a little order. We're good. Like it's okay. Like,
We are worth. So I think what they went for, right? I like the basic concept of this a lot. A maximum security prison planet, right? Where we've literally put
for
people.
dudes.
Yeah, like they're just we don't know that it started as dudes, right? This is a planet prison colony. It could have had hundreds of prisoners. Who knows?
It's prison planet very specifically for men
It's
with
maximum
antisocial
security.
behavior.
Yeah. Men commit most of the maximum security kinds of crimes.
Correct.
Just these people left to the outside of the world, right? It's this perfect, because they're trying again to draw this parallel between who is the worst monster, us or them.
Right.
Cool. Great. Got it. And then at the end, they're trying to do that. Even these, like someone we like, Dylan. I'm a murderer. I'm a rapist. I'm a bad guy.
Yeah.
It's like, but he has found religion and has at least some kind of a samurai code, right? So at the end of the movie, we're supposed to, even Morse, right? He was just this unbearable piece of shit, unbearable to watch on film. And then at the end, he's kind of down for the cause, right? Because Ripley inspires them with this, no one gives a shit about us, right? Not the alien, not the humans. We are this weird in-between pirate ship. And so they find hope at the end of a hope. So I like the premise, right? And you have this great cast, right? You got Sigourney Weaver, Charles S. Dutton, Charles Dance, Peter Postlethwaite. Is that how you say that? Postlethwaite?
Yeah, Pete Postlethwaite.
Paul McGann, you have one of the doctors here as if he just teleported into the worst episode of Doctor Who ever, right? You got Lance Henriksen back. So, like, immediately, you're like, there's a ton of character actors
back
I
is hard
really
to say.
like. I really, really like. And I was reading that for those of you who know I cannot do names.
There's pieces of this movie that are really actively interesting. I think that's like a really important thing about Alien Cubed is that the outset of the premise is interesting and like worth watching. Like the
base idea, right? The opening montage of the ship, there's they didn't check the ship for eggs when a queen was hiding in there. Feels hard to accept that Ripley and Bishop would blow it, but they're also fucked up. They haven't slept. Bishop's all fucking annihilated.
Yeah.
So yeah, Newt fucking... The opening, this is just like a microcosm of why this film missed, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. The
Making
opener
us
is
the
absolutely...
audience, right? Last episode, we just asked, why is Newt? And we kind of settled on it gives Ripley and us an innocent to protect. That there is a hope for a better future, right? That there's something to fight for.
Right.
And the start of this movie says, now look at that child dead. A lot. Yeah. Like, Jesus Christ. The shots of Ripley with her eye just soaked in blood.
Yeah.
Having to autopsy Newt graphically.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a choice where you're like, the first movie is an existential horror film, right? But it's adults. There is something about making us watch the brutal autopsy of a child we were supposed to see as our hope, and then pair that with a dog being annihilated.
Yeah.
It feels like it's actively telling audience members you are not to have fun in this movie. Because Alien, as dark as Alien is, it's horror fun.
Yeah.
This movie has no fun.
It's a very specific thing to... It's a very specific thing to chest burster a dog and have a dead kid at the very top of the movie.
Also, they ruined my conspiracy that the aliens evolved to eat humanoids in one shot.
Yeah.
But, and again, you've heard us talk about this a lot. I'm not one of those people that's like, it has to be fun and funny like a Marvel movie. I'm not saying this movie needed jokes. I'm saying there needs to be a little bit of that kind of horror movie thing that we like.
It's not about jokes. Like, I think that's something... Yeah, it's not about... This is something like... This is
it's not levity.
This is something my parents... Like, I've had this argument with my dad, because my dad's like... When I tell my dad, whenever we do October in particular, is like, how do you watch the... Like, last year, when we watched all the Hellraisers, my dad, who doesn't watch Hellraiser movies, was like, how do you watch that stuff without it just, like, imprinting on your soul? And I'm like, because it's fun. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of... It's fun. I don't know how to describe it other than that.
We go wrestle monsters in the safety of the dark, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where the line is, right? Like, when I watch Von Trier, right? Like, I love House that Jack built. I love Ants. Like, Lars von Trier is a aggressively negative kind of a filmmaker, right? Like, he makes these really grungy, gross movies that just turn a lot of people off, but I like them. Mm-hmm. And even I watch Alien 3, and I'm just like, this is off. So I don't know where that line is, where it slips. I think that the line of, like, this is an enjoyable kind of... Like, if you've seen this movie on Shudder, Speak No Evil, there is no fun, levity. It is a dark, brutal fucking kind of a film, right? And the ending makes you want to shower. But I still loved the ride of it.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know where that line... I mean, that's the art of filmmaking, right? Where do you land on the right side of that? This movie just immediately feels off.
Yeah, I think because we lean so far into, and maybe it's because we're now 3 movies in, and Ripley just like gets no breaks. Maybe that's part of it.
Let me set you up for this. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I love where Ripley is at the start of this movie. That
Where she is at the start?
The last time in Aliens, right? She ends by saying, I think we can sleep now, right? Like, we can sleep easy. We fought the monsters, we won. I went back and faced my fear.
Yeah.
Her waking up, I don't love that she had to do all that with Newt. Again, I think this is franchise filmmaking, right? Like, you got to have a little bit of honor to that. But that funeral scene, right? Where they're reading and then fucking Dylan comes out and does his, they don't have to fear anymore, right? Like, just this fucking, like, Charles S. Dutton is what saves this movie. Like,
Charles Dutton
so
is fucking
good.
awesome in this movie.
But during that funeral, right? I mean, Sigourney Weaver feast.
Yeah.
Watching her react to this, why am I still here? Why do I still have to suffer?
Yeah.
The conspiratorial paranoia of there's a queen. Walk me through Ripley as the constant sufferer.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this movie. And again, this goes back to what we've been talking about. I don't know what it is about this movie, but I think I didn't want her at the top. Like, she's in such pain at the beginning of this movie. Like,
so much. I mean, it's misery.
And it's not because they crash landed on a prison planet. Like, her, like, external injuries feel like nearly, like sort of a side piece. Like, everything. Yeah,
she's
terrible.
Ripley. She's badass. She'll rub some dirt on it and walk it off.
Yeah.
She is broken.
She's like so miserable at the beginning of this movie and like, it doesn't change, but she just like, everything sucks. And I think that's probably where I would start with the, like, why does this movie not work, is because while we've come to know that Ripley kind of just sort of ingests misery and lives with it, this one feels so brutal, because I think when you think about Aliens, and, to be honest with you, we didn't watch these back to back, but when you think about where she was at in Aliens, there was this like hopeful heroic to it, and that I think is how the movie ends.
There was a ship or some way out of it.
So
right?
for it to,
they were working towards a we can win, and this one does not.
Right. This one basically you land on, okay, it's a prison planet where like Wayland Yutani essentially has completely forgotten about these people. The only thing they're worth is like yeah, it used to be 5,000 people here. How many now? 25 to just keep the whole fucking place rolling. Like, yikes. So we're just going to do. It's a really depressing place to put Ripley. And like, it's not like she's never been depressed before, but for it to start that way, and for her to like not have any relief, like no reprieve whatsoever, until literally the end of the movie where she fucking immolates herself, it's hard.
See, I enjoy this is the movie where we kind of finally stop long enough to process Ripley's trauma. Like, that was just something James Cameron wanted to do in a surface way, right? With her like recurring nightmares. But he kind of slid right back into like, she's already Alpha Ripley. She has nightmares, but now she's going to go fucking kick the nightmares in the balls, right?
Right.
This is the time where she really fucking stops. And the point, Hicks, dead. Newt,
dead.
Autopsied with her watching, right? Even Bishop, the artificial human she had come to trust, gone. Everything she had.
The essential explanation is to Bishop not being, all right, we couldn't turn it on. So,
yeah. I mean, he's just not very good at stuff anymore.
We plugged it in, and
Bishop, though. Yeah. But like, yeah, Hicks like exploded. Newt is just because they still like. There's another thing in this. Like, we'll talk about like how the aliens attack. That's neither here nor there. But just watching Ripley, and I do think this is a great turn in the movie where we watch Ripley from this. Why the fuck do I still have to be afraid? Why the fuck do I still have to suffer and be, face the dark? Then she shaves her head. She gets a shower.
Yeah.
And she walks out. And again, they really are hyper on the, like, men are not good to Ripley thing in this. Again, we take the subtext out because subtext is for cowards. And we just make every man a physical threat to Ripley the whole fucking movie.
Everything text, yes, correct.
Yes, we just put it right there in giant fucking papyrus font, right there. She just walks into that cafeteria and she's like, I'm going to sit with these fucking bad men who've done bad things.
Yeah.
And then she tells them, oh, I must make you pretty scared. So she is choosing to fight for something. There's a hint in her mind that there could be an alien or it's paranoia, but she's going to fucking be Ripley no matter where she is. And I think that part of the movie works really well for me. There is you have to make me, the audience member, suffer with Ripley.
Sure.
And they fucking did that in spades.
In spades. I think that, I think what's hard for me about Alien Cubed is that overall, like, I keep coming back to this. And this was something when I was watching it last night, I just kept coming back to, why? Why are we watching this?
Who did they think was going to love this
Who was going to enjoy this movie?
Alien and Aliens.
There's like a really specific tone to it that's not, actually, this is how I'd put it. Everybody loved, this is, and I always forget this is really what this movie reminds me of, because I've seen this enough where I've like, I get it. Everybody really, like the community really enjoyed Pitch Black, Everyone's like, oh, that's a cool fucking movie. And they followed it up with Chronicles of Riddick, which nobody liked. And it was one of those things where, like, I always felt there's this kinship with Alien 3 because it is so off-putting from the previous movie. Like, the vibe is so wrong. You're
right.
Like,
if this was a misguided sequel to Alien, it would make perfect sense.
Right, exactly. But there's like,
James Cameron changed the Alien franchise at a genetic level. He made it a universal ride.
So to take it back to, and like, this goes, and I'll tell you right now, like, for me, the editing is very specific in this movie. Like, it's not just, and because it feels very, music video-y in a lot of ways. Yeah. But, like, even I would say even from the opening, like, you are watching a movie that has, like, a very specific vibe for, like, the opening credits, right? Like, we watched.
It's a Nine Inch Nails video.
Right. This is a Nine Inch Nails video, pretty much. Like, it becomes,
and I like the visual style of the film for the most
part. It's not a bad thing, but, like, I mean, even going back to, like, I would say even the way, like, the title card comes up. Mm-hmm. Like, we all know Alien comes up. Like, title card for Alien is very specific. It's very haunting. That's, like, the whole point of the vibe, Something Prometheus borrowed. So it's one of those things where when it doesn't happen that way, I remember the first time watching it, and then this time I noted it to be particular. I'm like, that's a pretty good sign that things are going to be a little different. Like, in the way that I didn't want them to be. From the
title card, you're like, I have problems.
Well, I mean, Alien is a vibe. Alien is a very specific look, and there's some very, very specific things, and you had two very distinct filmmakers put their stamp on it. And for us again, now,
Fincher is now on the level of those guys.
Fincher is the auteur,
but
I mean, he's pretty much there. Like, Fincher is a guy who, like,
if Fincher had made this in the early 2000s,
if Fincher had made this after Fight Club, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, like, this would probably stand shoulder to shoulder with the others.
Yeah, and like,
he is an amazing director. Yeah,
but in his own right, so. It's interesting to watch. I think that's the most fascinating thing, is because Fincher seems to make these really specific stories that, like, only he can make into blockbusters, because, this is the only major like commercial film he's done. The rest, like, even Fight Club's a
7.
Small, even 7. Like, 7's an original Andrew Kevin Walker script. Mm-hmm. Fight Club is a Chuck Palahniuk book that, like, probably not everybody read, but because it's, like, straight up nihilism.
Well, before Fight Club, Chuck Palahniuk was not Chuck Palahniuk.
Right, exactly. So, like, Fincher has made a career out of being this, like, one guy in the studio system who can make these stories.
Dark, big movies.
These dark, big movies that are,
if you were going to say who's going to direct the nihilistic prison alien movie?
Fincher.
I mean, first of mind. He just didn't have
in 2003.
Yeah.
Right. In 2003, if they said, we're going to make this, like, nihilistic prison planet.
Girl with the Dragon tattoo was about the dragon that eats brains in this movie?
Absolutely would have fucking killed.
He would have fucking crushed it, yeah.
So it's interesting to watch him at the outset of his career, like, not have the agency he does now. Because, like, now he's, like, this
also,
legendary...
to your point, probably helps define the movies he does moving forward.
Right. And I mean, like, now he has this legendary reputation of like 100 takes and, you know, he gets what he wants and those kinds of things. And this movie feels like, man, we got to get this shit done. Like there's a lot of stuff to it that you're like, we have got to finish this movie. And like not like the thing that is the pedigree of Fincher is nowhere in this movie. Like it's just, it looks great. I mean, that's like probably the most Fincher-ish stuff.
I love the outside, like people working in the storm shots. I love the prison set. The set of the movie is fucking awesome.
There are
and
things
Fincher
that are
uses
Fincher-esque.
it to great effect, right? Like when Clemens gets grabbed and Ripley's scurrying on the floor and you just see boots fly up that ventilation shaft. It's fucking awesome, right? When they're like, somehow the xenomorph learns to blow out candles. That sequence is fucking great, right? When he grabs the guy up on the thing, the xenomorph rips his body apart. Again, because they don't know what xenomorphs do. They never decide if it's a killer, if it's eating us. This one at least tries to address it, where it's like the little mouth inside the big mouth is to punch skulls open to eat brains. And I'm like, oh, that's a nice addition. But then when we see it attack a prisoner, it's just ripping his guts out everywhere. Maybe he'll get to the brains later, right? But Paul McGann's douched in blood. He looks up. The xenomorph is drenched in blood. A+. A+ fucking aliens moment that I love, right? So visually, I think he fucking crushes. I love the way he shot this movie. I love there, even those just like actions, like when Dutton's giving speeches, right? That low push in, like almost Michael Bay shot.
Yeah.
To make him look like this man who will not be pressed down by reality. Like there's a lot visually that I love in this movie, right? I love Ripley's kind of wrestling with true grief, right? That at the end, this movie's asking us, what is the value of just continuing to fight an unwinnable fight against nature, right? Both nature of us and nature and the xenomorphs.
Right.
There's something I want to bitch about. It might sound like we've been bitching about this movie the whole time. I would say you hurt the ones you love.
Yeah.
I actually do like this movie. I've actually watched this movie many times. I see the movie it could have been, right? And I accept it for the movie it is. Except for one thing. Ripley fucking Clemens is my least favorite major franchise moment of all time, including all of the fucking prequels of Star Wars. This, I get it on a surface level that it's just, maybe she just wants any kind of warmth, human touch, anything to try to distract her from the funeral and what's been going on. It is done in such a stupid fucking way where they're talking and she just goes, "Do you like me like that?"
Yeah.
And we saw the incredible chemistry she had with Hicks in the last movie, but she still kept it business. And now all of a sudden she just settles on Tywin Lannister.
I think it's a really, that's just one of those things. That is one of those moments that feels like straight up studio interference. Like somebody came on set, some producer walked on set, like, listen, her head's shaved.
Ripley had a boyfriend.
Listen, her head shaved, and you know we got to remind people she's a woman. And it's like, no, you don't. Like I can hear in my head the conversation, and Fincher's
Ripley
like,
transcends. Ripley is above all genders.
You got to remind people she's a woman, and I can hear Fincher in my head going, "Do you really think that the audience needs to watch this woman fuck on camera to remind them
why
that she's
Clemens
a woman?"
got fucking got like almost right after, like a couple minutes later. Clemens is getting got.
Well, I mean, it very well could be because she's the queen, but it's one of those things where.
You think the xenomorph's just watching? He's like, what's he doing to the royalty? Oh my god! No!
Oh my god, he's trying to stab with that thing on his face.
We don't have a lot of laws in xenomorph land, but that's wrong. That's wrong.
I was thinking
his tiny mouth is biting her lower brains.
I was actually thinking about it. I was like, oh man, does the alien think that that's like the ovipositor? And it's like, oh my god, they're trying to get in where we were. That's not cute.
Hey, that's my job. We have one job apiece in this colony.
One job apiece in this colony, and that's one of them. God damn it. But yeah, like
he just imagines the little queen inside there, like trying to dodge dick blows.
Hey.
If you ever have a kid, there is this hilarious video that I don't know that they show everywhere, but there's a video presentation that almost all of us watch that talks about when you inevitably want to fuck, but your wife's pregnant. And there is this image they had in that presentation. It's like the worst. It's like Alien 3 level CG of a little baby that looks like it's going down a roller coaster, just kind of gently waving like one of those things in front of a used car dealership. And the doctor will pretty much be like, yeah, like, as long as you're not fucking with the force of an automobile accident at like 35 miles an hour, it's fine. And I was like, what a weird series of images and words that you're using right now. I hate all of this. That's what the xenomorph was wrestling with. I was that xenomorph for a couple days.
That's the one
But do you think this choice has validity? Because this is a big thing that people were fucking furious about. Do you think the choice within the story now, like backing off of it, not having as much heat, do you think there's a validity to her just, I need physical touch, period?
No, to be completely honest with you. Like, I don't. Because this has never been a Ripley thing. Like, if that was a thing, it would have been a part of her genus from the first movie. Like,
I always thought that her and Dallas had something going on.
Oh, no, I always assumed Lambert fucked Dallas, and that was why.
Yeah, there was, like, real human tensions going on. But
yeah.
Even though Ripley was a woman who probably had a normal sex life like everyone else.
Right. So Ripley, but it doesn't make sense within the context and the vibe of this movie. Like, I'm not
arguing you. I'm just saying, right? I'm sure the pro argument is she's completely broken in spirit, right?
Right.
This is the first time she's had downtime.
I mean, I guess you can make
other
the
than
argument
like the start of Aliens.
Sure, you can make an argument for why this works, but to me, it's one of those things where I'm like, it doesn't.
No. The way they do it absolutely does not. I just wonder, is this one of those things that was just so misguided from the start, or could we have gotten there in a way that didn't aggravate the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I would have just not had her fuck anybody. Like, the point of that scene makes no sense. Like, that is like one of those things where I'm like, I don't get